Welcome, Climate Viewers. It's Jim Lee from ClimateViewer News on a Sunday afternoon. Hope you're having a pleasant weekend, and I hope your work week isn't too terrible. We're going to talk about geoengineering today. Chat with the fellas, the ladies, these, everybody in between. And we're going to talk about geoengineering. A little bit of history and the Council on Foreign Relations and how they generally suck at everything they do. So I hope you guys will enjoy the conversation, be a part of the conversation. I will be taking calls if you guys would like to call in today. In fact, just, there's that thing right there. So this is going to be the format of the Sunday chat. And feel free to interrupt me at any time. The number's right there. Let me go ahead and bring up my chat just so that I have it available on hand. All right, there we go. And let me split the screen here. And say hello to all y'all. That way, if I need to drop some links in the chat, because the CFR sucks, correct. All right, so let's get into this thing. Let's start with a little bit of history. Why not? Right? If you haven't hit that subscribe button, what are you waiting for? I mean, I know logging into YouTube sucks, but all the subs we can get, the better. And the more people who leave comments in the chats, the more we can screw with the YouTube algorithm. Greatly appreciated. Give me a yo in chat or what's up. That'll work. So where does geoengineering come from? A spider crawling down my arm here. Well, would you believe 1977's when the term was actually coined by Cesare Marchetti, and he wrote a paper called On Geoengineering and the CO2 Problem. And long time ago, but as you can see, this is from weathermodificationhistory.com, your real college for weather modification and geoengineering. So if you want to learn about all things, geoengineering, weather modification, space weather modification, like HARP and rockets and that sort of thing, this is the place to go, because everything's already in MLA format. So if you're in college, hey, I already did the work for you. Just copy, paste, and fool your teachers. It'll be hilarious. Plus, you control them at the same time. Win, 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 win. So you just grab these right here, right click, and then you can come over and actually see the original paper. On geoengineering and the CO2 problem by Cesare Marchetti, March 1976. Now, I was born 1976. So the year I was born, in the year of the dragon, the term geoengineering first originated. And at that point, now it had a word. It was associated with a possible solution for, global warming, when they were still calling it that. But then a volcano erupted. That's really when things took a sharp left turn, if you get what I'm saying. Mount Pinatubo eruption cools planet. Scientists rejoice. And basically in June 1991, the Mount Pinatubo eruption shot a whole bunch of stuff into the stratosphere. All kinds of tiny, different aerosols, sulfur, metals, soot, all of that sort of thing. And lots of different publications on this down here at the bottom. But you can actually see that's the boom. I mean, that's a really big boom right there. Caused the average global temperature to drop about 10 degrees. And, scientists still speculate on this, somewhere between, 1.5 to 0.5 degrees Celsius. And then geoengineers get wild ideas because of course, they say, well, this is what the layer of soot and everything looked like as a result of this. And they were like, well, we could do that. Why don't we create artificial volcanoes in the sky? I mean, I think it's a great idea. Don't you think it's a great idea? And they were off and running. Let's just put it that way. Moving along. And then, Edward Teller, Lowell Wood, and Roderick Hyde from the Lawrence Livermore National Lab, famously known as Dr. Evil. Black Koi, I really appreciate it. Thanks for all you do, Jim, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the super chat. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. So Edward Teller, Lowell Wood is known as Dr. Evil, and Roderick Hyde, at the 22nd International Seminar on Planetary Emergencies in 1997, wrote a paper based on this idea of creating a man-made Pinatubo effect. So they were going to, Lisa over, new subs, appreciate you. That they would create man-made volcanoes to block out sunlight and cool the planet, just like volcanoes do. Except these would be run, obviously, by a global government. Or, as the Council on Foreign Relations at the time said, unilateral geoengineering. The idea that the Council on Foreign Relations was worried that one country might decide on its own to take climate change into its own hands and start geoengineering. So China, Russia, America could secretly start a geoengineering program, more commonly referred to as stratospheric aerosol injection or solar radiation management. This form of geoengineering. This is the one that we're all concerned about. By the way, that same eruption, we had one of the largest ozone holes on record during that Pinatubo eruption. Coincidence? I think not. But regardless, here's the information on that. You can see all of that sort of thing. Links are already in the details, but needless to say, the ozone hole, big freaking hole. So injecting chemicals into the upper atmosphere like that, not so smart. Because generally speaking, what you're going to end up doing is you're going to screw with the upper atmospheric chemistry. You may be blocking some sunlight. You are going to change rainfall patterns on a worldwide basis. You will create acid rain. Even when natural volcanoes erupt, they end up affecting rainfall patterns on a worldwide basis, such as in the Amazon rainforest, rivers literally drying up. So typically, when they've done studies on this sort of thing, like the GeoMIP, the Geoengineering Model Intercomparison Project, and the IAGP International Assessment of Geoengineering Proposals, Dr. Ben Kravitz is one of the lead studiers of this phenomena, and he readily admits that basically the northern hemisphere will get wetter and the southern hemisphere will get drier. So lots of dead brown people, lots of wet, white people, generally speaking. I mean, depending on your definition of white, seem to be changing daily. I can't keep up with all of these things. But the problem is they don't recognize that, this is already straight out of the geoengineer's mouth. We're over here on climateviewer.com/geoengineering. And if you want to share that with your friends and fam, links are already in the details, so you can grab all this stuff. But basically, David Keith is one of the top geoengineers in the world, and he's sitting right across from Alan Robach. This is a
really important moral point.
And I want you guys to hear, in his own words, what will happen. Because it's a problem. Vincent, my man. Yeah. I appreciate you, Vincent. Love you, mean it, brother. From David Keith's own mouth. Now, right here, and I'll go ahead and full screen this one. This is Alan Robach. We're going to talk about him in just a second. But this is David Keith. And David Keith is the one that is partnering with Bill Gates to do the ScopeX geoengineering program, which is being run by Frank Koich from Harvard's Solar Geoengineering program. And they tried to launch a balloon in Arizona. They failed. They tried to launch a balloon in Sweden. The ETC group got a whole bunch of people to sign a sheet of paper and send it to the launch pad. And they said, you know what? Never mind. Not going to happen. So David Keith has not been able to float his geoengineering balloon to do his testing to prove that what he says he can do to cool the planet, he can do. Nonetheless, the push continues. All the while, planes, 10,000 people will die. Vince already knows. Vince has seen this. But some of this is remedial material for the climate viewers out there. But, I want to kind of just summarize all of this before we get to the Council on Foreign Relationships propaganda. Let's just put it that way. Take it away, David Keith.
So if I made a decision, or if it was a collective decision to do a geoengineering program, and you put, say, the kind of program I think makes more sense to put about 1 million tons a year in, but let's say, you might end up killing many tens of thousands of people a year as a direct result of that decision. I think that has moral consequences. I don't sweep it under the rug. So this is a case where I take this much differently from Alan and think it's a much more serious issue. Now, it's true that as part of doing that, you would hope that the overall benefits of human mortality would be so that you would save many, many more people than that. But the fact that you would save more people than you kill doesn't mean there's no moral impact of making a decision that directly kills people. And I think that we who talk about this have a duty to be clear-eyed about the direct risks involved in doing it.
And as you can see, Alan's over there going, bro, don't bring me into this. But that's David Keith. He's playing both sides of the fence. He's playing the stratospheric aerosol injection, solar radiation management, solar geoengineering, ScopeX part of the equation, while simultaneously investing in Carbon Engineering, which is a carbon sequestration company that sucks CO2 out of the air and pumps it into the ground. So either way, he's going to make some money. He's making money all the time, touring around, shooting his mouth off about this great idea to block out the sun to cool the planet. Meanwhile, many tens of thousands of people will die. That's his guesstimate. Now, how many people? Let me know in the comments. How many people are comfortable with that guesstimate? How many people think that that's acceptable? I don't. I certainly don't. But Alan, in 2012 through 2013, I was part of a conversation that was being had between David Keith, Ken Caldera, these are the two top geoengineer authors on the planet. Ken Caldera had a geoengineering Google group. So it's like a forum. And I was a member of that forum, and I debated them regularly. And they didn't like what I had to say. Of course, they tried to say, oh, Jim, you're just ignorant. You don't know what you're talking about. Weather and climate are different and all of these things. Everything I said to them has come out of their mouth now years later. But one of the real sticking points that I had that they just would never, ever admit to was that this could be used for military purposes, that this could be used as economic warfare, that if you could control rainfall on a worldwide basis, that you could literally deny rain to an entire country like has happened in the past. And if you don't know the past, you're doomed to repeat it. That's why weathermodificationhistory.com is so important. The CIA did it in the 60s to, do a rain embargo on Cuba to kill Castro's sugar crops. The Chinese did it during the Beijing Olympics to try to keep it from raining on the Olympics. The Russians did it during the Chernobyl meltdown to keep rain from falling on Moscow. Instead, they made the rain fall in Belarus. That's why if you go to the map and you look at the fallout from all of that, that's what you're going to see. Is you're going to see a whole lot of radiation. Basically all over Belarus, and none actually making it to Moscow. I'm actually like now, for visual sake, I was just going to bring that up real quick. So let's take a peekaroo real quick, and I'll bring that up on the map. And one sec, give me just a second, and we'll have that up there. So we can actually, and I'll make this nice and black. And boom. So now we're over here on ClimateViewer 3D. And as you can see right about here, this is where the Chernobyl reactor is. And I had that right up here. Where'd it go? There's the Chernobyl meltdown. This is the actual reactor. Okay, so there's the reactor. So if you zoom out, this is where the meltdown occurred. This is where the Duga 3 radar is also, the woodpecker. And then you see the rain was headed towards Moscow, and there's Moscow right there. So they actually did massive government military planes dumping as many chemicals as they possibly could into the radioactive fallout clouds that were headed towards Moscow, as you can see here. And that's why there's a huge radiation zone here and an even bigger one over Belarus, because they were able to stop the rain from coming there. So this is an important point of understanding weather warfare. I made this point to them several times, trying to say, well, geoengineering too could be used to do weather warfare. And of course, they mocked, they laughed, they giggled, they thought it was hella funny. But then Alan Robach, the guy who was sitting at the table, finally came around and realized when he got a call from the CIA, and the CIA basically said, Alan, if some other country were geoengineering our skies, would we know it? And he said, I also thought to myself that the CIA guys were basically saying, if we were, geoengineering someone else's sky, would they know it? Question, is Russia stopping NATO geoengineering? No, they're not, because NATO is large and they really have no oversight whatsoever. And, basically the same fuel is mandated by the NATO Pipeline Committee, which determines what chemicals go in the jet fuel that is flown in every NATO country, and coincides with the NATO single fuel concept, which seems to coincide with the time that everybody started talking about chemtrails. It was JP8 was the first article on the internet that had the word chemtrail in it was about JP8 jet fuel. And the JP8 jet fuel is now JP8 plus 100, which has extra chemicals in it, a triple cocktail of additives. And all of this is, designated by, F44, the different NATO standards for the jet fuel that they put in there. So is Russia stopping NATO from, chemtrolling the skies? No, they're not. And they don't have any way to do that. And plus, have you seen them getting their ass kicked lately? It's kind of ridiculous. They're not as nearly as dangerous as people like to make them out to be. And you think they would learn. Russia went to Afghanistan, they got their ass kicked, they left with their tail between their legs. We went to Afghanistan, we were getting our ass kicked, but we were at least holding it down. And then, we all know how that ended. I won't get into the politics of it, but needless to say, we left with our tail between our legs in shame, much to the chagrin of so many people who gave their lives needlessly, as some of them feel now. But regardless, Russia should know better. You cannot go into somebody's country, Vietnam, Afghanistan, and now Ukraine. When you go into somebody's home and you think that you're ever going to run all of them out, there will always be those who are willing to lay down their life, me included. Some foreign country comes to this place, they're in for some deep doo-doo, because I'm telling you, as the Japanese put it, they would never invade America because there would be a gun behind every blade of grass. Back to the subject at hand. So, Alan Robach wrote a paper, and this is in 2008, and he was really coming around to this idea that geoengineering might be used for military purposes, but I think that this is pretty telling about geoengineering as a dumb idea. Take it away, Alan.
So I went to the first meeting on geoengineering at NASA Ames, and this issue of Rolling Stone came out that week, and across the top, it's got our two favorite people there, but across the top, Dr. Evil's plan to stop global warming. And inside there was an article about Lowell Wood, who used to work with Edward Teller, saying, oh, we can control the climate. I'm a physicist. I'm smart. I know what to do. And I went to this meeting for 2 days at NASA Ames, and the room was too hot, and they couldn't control the temperature of the room, but they were talking about controlling the temperature of the planet. And there was these physicists and engineers thought, oh, this is a really cool problem. I started writing down reasons why I thought maybe it wasn't such a good idea. And I got up to 20, and I published a paper, 20 reasons why geoengineering may be a bad idea. And since then, I've looked at it more, and my latest paper has this list of 27 reasons for concern or risks. But it also has benefits. Like, if we could do it, we could reduce global warming, number one. And that benefit might be worth dealing with all of these risks. But I think we have to evaluate each of them so that we can then make informed decisions in the future. How can we answer these questions? The ones in red I've listed can be answered with indoor experiments with climate models, with GeoMIP or other models. And so I'm going to talk about GeoMIP. We set this up 8 years ago to try and have organized experiments with climate models, all doing the same experiments. And so far we've had more than 50 papers, peer-reviewed papers, on GeoMIP, some of them in special issues of JGR and ACP. And it's continuing as part of CMIP 6. The first meeting was at Rutgers, and
anyway, he goes on ad nauseum about that. But you know what? I'm gonna have a little chat with a concept object right now. There's a phone on the screen. I mean, if you want to call in and talk about how I'm wrong about Russia stopping NATO and NATO's not flying over Ukraine, so therefore there couldn't possibly be any geoengineering going on, I would challenge you to call in right now. I mean, what do you got to lose? I would love for you to show me the error of my ways. I love a good conversation. I will have a conversation with anybody about anything. Ask me anything. Number's right there on the screen. Call me now. But to consider the fact that because NATO may not be flying over one country, that somehow that's going to mean that geoengineering on a worldwide basis isn't happening is not a real thing, dude. But you know, like I said, feel free to call in. It would be interesting. Many people say they want to call in. Many people say that they want to, put me in my place. I'm welcome to have that conversation. Very few people do. And from meteorologists to scientists, I have had many a Twitter feud, Facebook feud. Very few people have taken me up on the the opportunity to have a, different point of view on something, and I'm willing to have it, so feel free to call in. There we go. Let's make sure that everybody can hear you on the stream.
Hey, Jim, how you doing, dude?
Doing pretty good, man. Is this David? Did you say your name was David?
Spencer.
Spencer. Okay, are you Concept Object?
Yes, sir.
Hey, welcome to the program, brother.
Hey, I've been a fan of yours for years, man.
Awesome, dude. I appreciate you calling in. So,
actually, I'm a friend of David Miles.
Oh, okay. Okay, good deal. How's he doing? Haven't talked to him in a while. I need to have him back on. For those who don't know, Miles Research, David Miles used to be Acquiesce, the company that, was steering atmospheric rivers and weather moderation.
I can't say anything about what he's up to, but I'm sure you can go to his website or whatever, and he's posted all of his current projects.
Yeah. I'm I consider him a friend. We've had many conversations and some conversations I'm not allowed to have in public, but yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm telling you. So let's talk about Ukraine. So I was expecting insane mud season this year, like the mud season of all mud seasons, right?
Okay.
It's not happening. Russian tanks are just cruising across those fields, and they're not being bogged down by the mud.
Okay.
So why isn't it happening? If I'm in Colorado, I drive by the Platte River facility every day. I, see all the stuff up on Berthoud Pass. We're very active at the.
You're right in the middle of Cloud Seeding Central.
Dude, it's all happening right here. We've got a Center for Atmospheric Research. We got the National Institute of Standards and Technology. We got the.
He's talking about NCAR and UCAR in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah,
it's the top research institute in the world for weather modifications in Boulder, Colorado.
A lot of those older original guys in the 70s still live up in Boulder. Like, you can go up in the mountains and they got their little places. It's actually pretty cool stuff. My point is that I haven't seen. Okay, so if we know that, there's polymers or whatever in the jet fuel that are creating like whatever nano webs, if we know that stuff is happening and that's like part of a global fuel supply chain, are those airliners flying over Ukraine?
Now,
are those passenger jets flying over Ukraine? They're not.
No, they're not. No, they're not. But that. Okay, so now let me try to explain this. So, this is one of the common misconceptions about the chemtrail, contrail, cirrus cloud phenomena, is that people see grids in the sky, and then they don't understand that basically the sky is like a river. So just because a plane doesn't fly over your state doesn't mean that the clouds that are So literally,
I'll let you finish that point though. If you're on the air and there may be other people in the audience that
there's nobody else calling in. There's no rush. I mean,
here's my thought though. It's not about the cloud spraying. That's just the medium. It's about the radio waves and the VLF waves, things like that. And so my thought is, like, we saw a lot of flooding in China last year, and there was 2 years ago, I guess, there was speculation on, is this Chinese experimenting with their own weather technology? Was this adversary doing something to Chinese weather? Whoever. But we know that it flooded majorly a few years ago in China. And then also we know, I'm wondering if the amount of energy that it'll take to actually do some of the radio type weather modification would require like a ship or a large power source. And my thought is, how local does that power source, how local does that radio, that point of transmission, affect? And does Russia, like you said, the woodpecker's right there. If Russia is controlling the radio around that, the airwaves there, would that be interfering with like radio type? Point is, it's not raining in Ukraine like you would expect a modern geoengineering military to use.
Well, I mean, So you still have active cloud seeding projects all across Europe, so, and this is a common claim. Yeah. A common claim from Iran is that Europe is stealing its rain. So, Ukraine's kind of in that sweet spot where it still should get plenty of rain. But now you've got the United Arab Emirates and a lot of northern African countries that are now getting in on this, and that of course the Mediterranean's a large source of water that's coming into the European Eastern or Western Asian area. So there's so many people trying to get that water, and there's only a finite amount of it in the sky at one given time. Unless you're talking right along the equator, right? We can agree on that.
Oh, absolutely.
So
I'm not thinking about the cloud seeding though, Jim. I'm thinking about there's a lot more to it than just cloud seeding.
Well, let me expand on that. Let me kind of try to wrap your head around this, because at the same time, what we're seeing, what everybody calls geoengineering, what everybody calls chemtrails, contrails, geoengineering from planes is cloud seeding. Period, point blank. Whenever you put enough chemicals in the sky, they all work as cloud condensation nuclei. That's how cirrus clouds are formed behind planes, whether it's from pipes and pumps or jet fuel, whatever your thing is. Regardless, a chemical is dispersed from a plane, which then attaches to water. That is the definition of a cloud condensation nuclei.
And the polymers in the jet fuel or oils or whatever you want to call it are creating, they polymerize during the process, and it creates this web that spreads out over the skies in a low, greasy cloud. We're on the same page with that?
Yep, pretty much.
So I think that the way that I describe this technology that people don't really understand it is I do the wet sheet. So if you have a towel or a wet sheet or something, and it's holding water in it, that's like the cloud that's been sprayed, right?
Right.
But in order to get it to drop the water, you need to shake it. And I think that the way that it's happening is, I think that they're using, VLF waves or a combination of radio waves to shake the water out of the sheet. So I think that the actual creating the medium is the jet fuel stuff is only creating the medium, and it's not actually making making it rain. I mean, of course, when you get to a certain amount of, the nucleation or whatever you want to call it, it'll rain. But I think that they're hitting it with a radio wave of some type, like a VLF wave or something, very, very like the submarine VLF waves, multi-mile long VLF waves, not like radio waves.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? That's my theory on it. And I mean, I don't know, the professionals who are doing this, who do this for a business, what technology they use. Patents show what you're doing, but it would be the companies that are keeping trade secrets would be the ones that, that's where the secrets are. Patents are, that's public domain.
So let's just kind of break down what you're talking about. So you're more referring to what would be called either the electromagnetic or concussive form of rain making. And this dates all the way back.
Jim.
Yeah,
they work together.
It dates back to 1902. Okay, so let me. I don't know if you're watching the video right now. Can you see the video on screen?
You know what? I'm not watching. I'm sorry, buddy. Let me.
Yeah, just bring it up. Yeah, bring it up. Yeah, of course. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Turn the volume down.
So this is what's called the Steiger Vortex cannon, and the rain-making gun. And a lot of people use these today. Some people still use them. Hail cannons, the idea of, breaking up hailstones using concussive methods. If you go to my newspaper vault on weathermodificationhistory.com, you can see hundreds of articles from 1900 to 1960 on different methods, from electrified sand to all kinds of stuff, using X-rays. But, basically, this is the origination of that idea, with these huge cannons that would use sonic energy so we're talking about sonic or electromagnetic usually one of the two. So this is one of the most, well, let's put it this way. This is the least published way of modifying the weather. Finding any scientist who's willing to go on record and say, I controlled the weather using electromagnetic frequency, or unless we're talking about lasers, or using sonic methods, they tend to get shit on pretty quickly. I mean, it's just, it's a thing there, you know, like the scientific community immediately peer reviews it into the dirt. So you're not going to find, much actual literature on this topic. And we're not talking about Wilhelm Reich or anything like that. But go ahead.
I mean, I don't know which way you're leading with that. Not finding literature on the topic doesn't mean that the physics are solid, you know?
Oh, yeah, no,
the physics are solid. That's what matters.
I'm American Indian, okay? So, like, I have Choctaw and Pawnee Indian in me. And, you know, the idea that doing a rain dance and banging a drum and then kicking sand up into the sky, which is full of aluminum, and then it raining, that's been around for thousands of years. Okay. I don't think they'd be out there dancing if it didn't work.
I'm my heritage is Chippewa. My great grandmother was a Chippewa, Ojibwa, and my old man would take us to a place by the river that the dirt was so hard, was as hard as concrete from them doing, you know, dancing,
just stomping it down.
So and another thing, you were talking about the sonic cannons. We do pumpkin chunking, you know. So
I do.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if we've officially made it rain, but there are definitely some correlations, you know.
So to your other question about radars and all of that being involved. So I'm just going to, kind of show the area, and maybe I should put this on a different background so we can actually see what the hell's going on here. But basically, this is, the Ukraine area right here. Okay. So this is Ukraine. Now, I don't know if you could see this, and of course,
I'm trying not. When I play it, you're going to get feedback. So
you can play it, but mute it, and you won't have an issue as long as you mute the audio.
Yeah. Well, I got it on your screen. If you get some weird.
Okay. So anyway, this is Ukraine, and then what we're going to see is all of these different radars. Now, these are missile defense radars. Over here, we have. Some of these really large Tesla type arrays all through Ukraine. By the way, Russia really pissed off about losing control of all of these because they were strategic. They were very
network.
It is certainly a network. This is the Duga 2 down here and the receiver for it. Up here you got the Uran 1, the UTR 2.
Notice how close all of those are to like energy. That's a whole area of uranium and coal and power.
Yeah.
Like that whole road. That whole area from the Dnieper River over to the border is an energy area. All of the Hunter Biden's Burisma holdings are in that contested area. So hats off to that dude to have the balls to sell oil in a country that's not even his.
Well, I mean, hey, when your dad's the big guy, it's pretty easy to make those kinds of deals, right? It's not what you know, it's who you know, clearly. But I wish that I had somebody in my family where I could smoke crack and pee on whores and then go and make millions of dollars selling oil in another country that I don't even speak the language. But
you're always welcome to send 10% to me, Jim.
Hey, if I'm lucky enough to do it, brother man, I'll do it, Spencer, just for you. So this right here is the Kharkov, Ukraine Incoherent Scatter Radar. And this is right outside of Kharkiv, and it's a 2.5 million watt, 150 megahertz incoherent scatter radar. For those who don't know what incoherent scatter radars are, it's it's all about that bass, as they said in chat. It is a ionospheric heater, and so this is in Kharkiv, Ukraine. And here's some photos of it. But as you can see from the photos, and I'll just blow this one up real big, it's a bunch of different poles in a field, and they've got different wire meshes, hooked together.
Yeah,
So
dude. No,
it's a
that's
huge
fair,
antenna
yeah.
array,
We
along
got one of
with
those,
steerable
like, 20
ones.
miles from here.
Yeah,
We've got
you're
one of
in
those, like, 20
Platteville,
miles
right?
from here.
You said
Yeah,
Platteville?
the Platte River facility's right there. So I actually downloaded some are online like 10 years ago or something. I actually downloaded the operating manual to that thing. I don't know how I found it, but it was all online, and they just had some old machines. It's not as fancy. It's just you can see what it is. So I drove my truck to that facility to like just get a photograph or see what was out there. And so first of all, it's in a whole oil area, energy area. They do oil extraction and different production stuff out there. So there's no people, there's no cars, there's like nothing out there.
I know what you're talking about.
It's like a valley on top of a hill. Like you cannot see whatever's going on there from the ground. You cannot see what's going there because it's like there's a hill in a valley, and it's a secure facility. Although there was a gate, but it wasn't locked, and I didn't go anything.
Where is it at? It's a super darn, so you can't miss it. That it? Yeah, that's Fort Hayes. No.
So if it won't rain if it's too hot, and it won't snow if it's too cold. If they're using the atmospheric heaters there, would that be stopping any cloud seeding or any other like VLF type stuff that could be causing it? It's like, well, does Russia have like a giant Bose noise canceling headphones for their weather?
Well, I mean, let's reflect on that. So let me come here real quick to the weathermodificationhistory.com, and I'll bring up something else because I think you'll find this interesting. See if I got it over here. No. I think it's in this category. No, we'll have to go to the HARP category. That's Israel. This is all rain decreasing technologies. Where's it at? I'll just go to the timeline and look for it. So we'll go to Chernobyl. So the Russian woodpecker, Chernobyl meltdown and ionospheric heating over the United States, 1983 to 1986. Drop this in chat for everybody playing along at home. Boom, there's your link. And down here at the bottom is a really interesting article. And it's right here. Soviet superpower tests burned the ionosphere. So through the use of like ionospheric heaters, you can actually open up holes in the ionosphere, which cause massive downdrafts of cold air, obviously. And they basically also rapidly increase ionization because galactic cosmic rays are shielded by the ionosphere. Mm-hmm. So to make rain, you need three things. You need water vapor, a cloud seed of some sort, some kind of nuclei, and then galactic cosmic rays. So a ionization.
Okay, so you have to ionize so it has a charge, and then that charge is different and it drops.
Right.
I get it. Totally.
Yeah.
So they could be unionizing the clouds or over ionizing
negatively or positively. So whatever.
Exactly.
So whenever you look at cloud ionization technologies, and that's one of the big things that, and I can come over here to ClimateViewer.com and just go to that. So you go to cloud ionization right here, and you can look shocking electric weather modification companies. There's David Miles right there. Who I did an interview with. If you guys in chat have not watched this interview with David Miles, you should. It's an eye opener to say the least.
I'll be honest with you, people. It's disappointing because you're expecting like some kind of like dude with like a black leather coat and pointy shoulders and like a really thick German accent. He's like an average guy. He is like an A+ dude. Like he's got good intentions.
He really does.
He's an A+ guy.
Well, he was really taken advantage of by some military guys. Yeah. And, I actually have a special just on those. This started out with an article I wrote back in 2015, How Texas Stole California's Rain. And it kind of grew from there. And it's really about David Kaczynski, Cy Blue, and steering rivers in the sky, and how this military individual ex-military, basically stole the technology that David Miles had invented. And David Kaczynski said, fresh water has been dubbed blue gold in many publications, as potable water will be to this century what oil was to the last century. Link for the interview for David Miles. I'll drop that in chat right now. Some people are asking about that in chat.
So let's finish up on the ionospheric heaters potentially stopping the rain, and then I want to get to the sensor network because I've been
before we go any further on the ionization point. So the idea that basically people can ionize the sky and that they could control the weather, and this is the first article I did on it: cloud ionization, electric rainmaking, and laser guided weather modification. This is back in 2014. And in it, you can pretty much see right here an infographic where they talk about the old method, which was chemical weather modification, and the new method, which is ion generation. So generally in
microwave frequency will ionize.
Yeah, well, in a lot of these, and if you actually look at the actual systems themselves, this is what they look like. I mean, they're a little bit different than what most people would expect, but they basically build up a charge, and then they send that electrical, that ionized energy into the sky. It's not that different from what's already occurring from all the ELF, VLF, and radars on a worldwide basis. And these are different models. AST Clear Sky Manager, this is in Dubai, a test in Dubai, and then here's the actual patent on that, but let me scroll down. Australian Rain Technologies Atlant Cloud Ionizer, same pyramid type design. They're basically pump a lot of electricity into these things to put off ions.
I think they're doing this off a ship.
They very well could. They very well could.
Monkey Works could draw some correlations, because I was thinking, when they sunk that Russian ship, I thought maybe that had something to do with it, and we'd see some difference there. It'll be interesting to see what is the catalyst when the rain season starts, because I'm expecting a rain season, and it hasn't happened.
On that note, harp on a boat. Ionospheric heaters go mobile. And this is from 2014 as well. And I did this a long time ago. The idea that they would they have things like Mirage, which was the microwave ionospheric reconfiguration ground-based emitter, that they could literally pull this behind a Jeep. It's a mobile ionospheric heater. In satellites, they're called topside sounders or satellite-made ionospheric heaters. Then boats, submarines, and planes. And this is what is called the Strawman High Frequency Array. I'm going to get to it right here. This is from Dennis Papadopoulos at the University of Maryland. Combination of low high frequency power and high frequency requirements allow for mobile option Strawman High Frequency Array. The idea that you could basically put an ionospheric heater array of antennas on a barge and then float that out in the ocean or in the Black Sea for that matter, and then control the radio airspace over a location for military purposes. This was actually put out in the Air Force 2025 documents as what was called Sanctuary Base. The idea that you could deny all Russian communication while still boring holes in clouds to allow laser communication through to satellites that are encrypted, and they could still be able to talk. Now, what is that going to do to the weather? They don't even consider that part. But straight from the military's mouth, they could do.
They can clear the airport if they want to clear it. Yeah,
right.
100 different ways.
Right,
and they've been doing it for 70 years minimum. So.
Well, Spencer, this has actually been a great conversation, man. I'm glad you called in.
I'm one of your biggest fans. Oh, I'm your biggest fan. Let's get to our sensor network, because I've been wanting to get. You should email David to get my email, like just to confirm everything. But I'm sure you got his email. And I want to work on the sensor network with you. I know you've had that idea for a long time, and I think there's probably something to do off the air. But if we can build a robust sensor network, it could come in handy not just for weather, but for like emergency situations. That's all I'm going to say.
My top of my list right now for the sensor network for the Environmental Modification Accountability Act is something to catch the rain and then in real time do spectral analysis on it and tell you what's coming down.
With you. I'm with you on that. This is a tech conversation, though. I don't want to bore your audience, but send an email over and we'll continue from here. I think it needs to be like a LoRa network, and we'll talk about the issues with it. But yeah, I think there's a lot more that we can. Not just the rain, like I said. I think there's more with. Do you work with TensorFlow at all?
No. I'm going to be honest with you, man. I'm completely self-taught on all programming things.
Me too.
As far as like, the hardware side, I've done some dabbling with Raspberry Pi and, like hacking into I've been a hacker since I was 12. So, messing with Linux
guy,
and stuff.
I'm the hardware guy. I loved your episodes you did on securing your computer. That was solid, man. That was a solid, like, how to tie a knot, man. Solid.
Yeah. It's when you do one like that, though, there's so many things that you go, damn, I wish I would have said that also. And I'm going to revisit that and try to, like, get it more succinct. Because, people don't understand things like, disabling net BIOS over DNS and what a TCP split handshake is. And I mean, man in the middle attacks and all of that sort of thing. I just tell them, get a VPN, try to do the best you can. Understand that if you have browser cookies already on your browser, even if you're on the Tor network running through a VPN, Google still has your MAC address the minute you log in. If you go to Facebook, they know it's you, no matter what your IP is. I mean, there's so many more layers to this onion. Pardon the pun.
Just like as a consumer of lots of YouTube videos, right? As a member of your audience, I would say an advice or something would be to break that. You got the hardcore video for people who are really going to do it, and then I think it would. If I were doing that, I would break it into a couple.
Yeah, do it like do it like three levels, like level one.
But, the Beatles. The Beatles would make one pop song per album, and then they could freak out the rest of the album. It's like if you do one little pop 5-minute video, you can put on YouTube. Everybody likes it. You get a little monetization. That way it'll support all your drug habits and freaky music or whatever. I'm joking.
I actually had my first porn chatter just spam out the chat. Best cams fun. Oh, you're over the target when the porn bots hit you up. Bravo.
Hey, whoa, I did. I brought it out. Oh.
You brought out the porn bots.
Yeah, the 50%
Bravo.
Army is all over you, man.
God bless them. They got to try.
Hey, you're welcome, man. My reputation precedes me. Jim, send me an email. It's a great talking to you, man. We'll be in touch.
It's been great talking with you too.
You too. Later, brother.
All right. We're gonna shit on the CFR real quick, and then we're gonna call this one a day. Apparently, my children are on the way home in the next 20 minutes, so I'm gonna have to wrap this up. Great talking with you, Spencer. Appreciate you calling in, man.
Have a good one, brother.
All right, later, man. So that was fun. Everything's lost in translation. Whatever you're reading chat, and you never know who you're talking to. And I get this all the time, especially with like tweets or Facebook. I tell people, call me, because I would rather have a real conversation with a real human than try to do this, he said, she said, back and forth shit through text. So Spencer, I greatly appreciate you calling in. That was freaking epic. And we got, into a whole lot of things that I didn't expect to. And I love that. That's what I love. So I look forward to having these Sunday conversations. I hope that more people will call in the future, and we'll make more time for it. I'm currently working on my studio outside my house, so I'll be able to literally just have these conversations like for hours, possibly, two at a minimum. That way we can get as many people in as possible and have these conversations. I really enjoy a good freaking conversation. So quickly to back to what we were talking about. So basically Alan Robach finally admitted, yeah, Jim, you're right. These are the 27 reasons why geoengineering is a bad idea, and only 6 that are, beneficial reasons. And as you can see, not too good. And down here at the bottom, number 26, military use of technology. And that's all the way at the bottom of the list. But regardless, there's a whole lot. Drought in Africa and Asia, ozone depletion, may not stop ice sheets from melting. By the way, it's going to turn the ocean to acid. There's so many things. Degrade passive solar heating, less solar electricity generation. There's so many reasons why it's absolutely stupid to do solar geoengineering. That does not stop the Council on Foreign Relations from running their frickin' mouths and saying things like this. This is April 27th, 2022. Thank you to the beautiful individual who emailed this to me. I try to keep everybody anonymous if you send me an email with a link and you want to be thanked on air, say so, because I will say your name and say thank you. If you don't, I'm going to assume you want to remain anonymous, and that's the way I work. To reduce growing climate dangers, the world needs to consider sunlight reflection, by Stewart M. Patrick. Now, I literally had a what the F moment when I read this, because I was like, Patrick Stewart, this is a Star Trek? No, the dude's name really is Stewart Patrick. But, of course, only some, globalist from the CFR would have a name like Stewart Patrick. I mean, there's probably a Stewart Patrick watching. It's just like, son of a bitch, that's a normal name. But anyway, nothing about the present climate crisis or its implications is natural. We know that because it's not climate change, it's the climate changers. They've been changing the climate through weather modification, manipulation on a worldwide basis for over 100 years now, and they want to blame you for it, not the airline industry, not the shipping industry, not all the shit coming from China through large tankers that make more CO2 than all of the cars on the planet combined. But, it's your fault. Don't you know? So, of course, we need to, reconsider sunlight reflecting technologies because, reflecting sunlight to reduce climate risks, priorities for research and international cooperation. Links in the details. Sunlight reflection, also known as solar climate intervention. That's a new one on me because they don't like calling it geoengineering. They don't like calling it climate engineering. They like calling it climate intervention. So even though Harvard's solar geoengineering program is a thing, they still keep trying to push the narrative. Don't say geoengineering, say climate intervention. Don't even say climate engineering. Throw engineering in the ocean and lock it in a little box and throw it in the ocean, because that people don't like that. But when we did our polls, climate intervention, they were kind of okay with the idea. So, of course, Council on Foreign Relations, technocrat, globalist, mind control propaganda machine that they are, is going to, of course, use a new term altogether, solar climate engineering, and then even go SCI, which this is the first time I've ever read this anywhere, and I've been doing this well over 12, 13 years. Dispersing aerosols in the stratosphere or spraying salt crystals in ocean-based platforms to brighten low-lying marine clouds. That's marine cloud brightening or solar geoengineering, stratospheric aerosol injection. So, they put this idea out there, then they published a paper, April 2022, reflecting sunlight to reduce climate risk, priorities for research and international cooperation. And of course, this is going to get spread everywhere because it all flows from the top downs, from the technocrats that want to push this agenda to the people who are going to profit, like BlackRock and Vanguard, who basically own all the things. And, anybody who has, if you can invest in BlackRock and Vanguard and you want your money to guaranteed pay you back, well, they own all the things. So, whether we have global warming or global cooling, they're going to make money. And these guys are going to make sure that they keep pushing this agenda forward, because everything that has been called a conspiracy theory at some point becomes real. Everything except flat Earth. I love you guys. I can't help it. Hollow Earth is so much cooler. I mean, if I'm gonna believe a crazy idea about the Earth, I'm going with Hollow Earth all day, air day, over flat Earth. I'm sorry. But anyway, Stewart M. Patrick, looking like a diss. I thought white males aren't allowed to like dictate, things anymore. Aren't we like I'm not even, whenever I fill out paperwork now, it's just me and you now. You can kind of see, I've got, this looks like Apache Mohawk hair, but I'm actually Choctaw and Pawnee on my mother's side, and then Robert E. Lee and Richard Henry Lee, who signed the Declaration of Independence on my father's side. So whenever I fill out papers now, I literally write Native American, because we all know it is not cool to be white anymore. And that dude right there, that dude's super white. Like super damn duper white. And he's an expert, so you should listen to him. And that's why this appeal to authority from people like Stewart M. Patrick saying we should reconsider geoengineering, even though during this broadcast we've covered it, it will kill many tens of thousands of people at a minimum. Many tens of thousands of people will die directly as a result of geoengineering. From an actual expert on geoengineering, because he's the one that hella wants to do it. So I'm supposed to trust straight edge white guy from the Council on Foreign Relations, who's a senior fellow in global governance and director of the International Institutions and Global Governance Program. Warning, red flag, call the cops. We've got a shill in the building. I have never liked anything that's come out of the Council on Foreign Relations from its inception to today. From its technocracy roots to its New World Federalists mandates, everything about them says, hey, let's universally disarm the entire populace, dissolve all borders, create a one world government, and you know what that's about. It's about control. Can't find David Miles. It's Miles Research. Jesus. I got to help you guys out. And then we're going to call this a night. Let me come over here real quick and let's look up David Miles right quick. It's Miles Research. Didn't I have his I had his paper up here already. Miles Research, not .com. It's like .ca or something like that. Miles Research. This is it. It's not safe to go there. I'm going to an unsafe place. milesresearch.co. He has not updated his certificate. You will get a warning when you go to it. But what the hell? Our COVID-19 response. Anyway, right here you can see his rain moderation section. Weather moderation. And that's where you're going to see all of his information on it, along with his Vimeo video. I don't even have the chat up. I'm a derp. But this is Miles' research right here and weather moderation. And I'll go back here. I think this was where we were at for David Miles. No, it's a different one. Gotta find it. I could find it. I swear I could find it, people. Right up here in the cloud ionization section. All right, there you go. So everything's in this section for this technology. And then right here is the cloud ionization paper interview with David Miles.
We set up Rainaid to go and to run this project there, to give it an easy reference name.
And the video is on my YouTube channel, so you will be able to watch it. It's right here, David Miles.
And the problem
on steering sky rivers, weather moderation, and military implications. So you can check that out on YouTube and watch the entire interview. It's an hour and 17 minutes. I'll drop the link for that also in there. And get rid of this and boom. And there's your link. And here's the article with all the links to his stuff. Well, now that was hella interesting. Thank you all for tuning into the Sunday chat. I do want to do this in, a semi, be able to get into the podcasting world where I have a call-in show. That's what I really want to be doing, is having more conversations with people that are organic. I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation with Spencer because, me monologuing and repeating and regurgitating stuff gets old. And for this to remain fun for me, I need to be coding, creating new things. That's where I get my joy from, and talking with people. Talking by myself is boring AF, and it becomes a job. So I hope that next Sunday we'll try to do this. I want to try to be on a schedule too. I am very chaotic. I am born in the year of the dragon. I'm a Scorpio, and I'm extremely chaotic. So being consistent is not my forte. But that being said, I want to try to have these shows on Sunday at 3 p.m. On Eastern on Sunday. So I'm gonna be getting the new studio outside in the shed set up pretty soon, and hopefully we'll be in a new place, not inside my house, and I won't have to worry about the kids bursting through the door at any moment, and my daughter trolling you by throwing up like an OK symbol, things like that, or just some naked 5-year-old running through the background. That would be great for YouTube because there are no takebacks on the internet. That being said, thank you all for tuning in. I hope that you guys will support my work. You can go right now to connect.climateviewer.com. And support me on Patreon, give a one-time donation on PayPal. Check me out on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute if you want to watch the playback of this. I'm also on Getter, Facebook, Twitter, Parler. Parler is a dumpster fire. Like, nobody has followed me on Parler. I'm probably going to delete it. But, I'm on a couple other ones too. I need to update this. I'm not on Discord anymore. They banned me. And, my merch link's on there. So basically everything, I do is over on connect.climateviewer.com. And you can come over there and actually see all 3 of my websites and links to all of the things. Plus, you can get a discount on ExpressVPN, help the channel out. Thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Let's have this conversation again next week. That's what, and if those who are wondering why I have a mic here and here, is because this one is for the caller, so that you're calling in through a VoIP app, so they can hear me, and this is actually connected to the live stream. But yeah, I got some new toys, and this Shure mic, oh, so butter, so beautiful. Love you. I've wanted a nice Shure mic forever. Just couldn't afford it. And through generous donations from caring individuals like you. I've been able to do that. Yes, I am on BitChute, Perth. Go to connect.climateviewer. Links are right there. Link to connect.climateviewer is in the details of this video right now. It says support and connect with ClimateViewer. So just click on that link and it'll link you to all of my things. Subscribe to and or follow as many of the things as you like, or none of the things. But please, hit me back up on this YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Gently smush the like button. YouTube already hates me enough. Leave a comment on the video. Tell me what you like about the format. Tell me what I should change. Things that I can do to make this more entertaining, more informative, and there's no helping me on being long-winded. I'm Southern, okay? It's just the way I am. I'm built different. Okay. We're not built the same way. I've tried to, go to northern cities and people just talk too fast. Okay. We take our time around here to say things, and we like to do it for lengthy periods of time. Quick little note on that. I tell somebody lives here, local, Sumter, South Carolina. Okay. I gotta go. I gotta get off the phone. I'm talking to my friend from New York City. I say, all right, dude, I gotta go. They're like, okay, bye. Click. I mean, that's all you got to know about it. But anyway, thank you all for tuning in. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I hope you did too. Please share, because sharing is caring, and use this information to attack ideas, not people. Like, don't go threatening David Keith because, he wants to block out the sun. Don't threaten to hurt people. You can call them whatever you like. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. But do not use your words for violence. So that's what I mean when I say attack ideas, not people. Love you, mean it. Hope you have a great week. Video resonates with you, leave me a comment, because I love hearing from y'all. First time here, be sure to subscribe and click the bell. Yeah! Remember, it would be impossible for me to do this without your support, so please join my Patreon or buy me a coffee on PayPal. And always, attack ideas, not people.